Hey there, this is Patrick Cody from LPCTV, and today I have an exciting guest. We just wrapped up with Matt Denhart here, who's the executive director of the the Calvin Coolidge Presidential Foundation. I get tripped up. They rebranded a few years ago and changed their name. I still sometimes, I apologize, I still refer to it as the Calvin Coolidge Memorial Foundation. But it is now the Calvin Coolidge Presidential Foundation. And Matt just wrapped up with doing a show, an update about some exciting programming that's happening up there on the Notch, and some scholarship information, an essay contest, a great talk that's coming up over Presidential Day weekend, so hopefully you've seen that as well. We'll be playing that and distributing it widely. But today, I have invited Matt in to talk a little bit about some exciting news he has. He was recently, I don't know if any of you out there read Forbes magazine, but they do an annual recognition for 30 under 30, they call it, which is it's 30 individuals from 20 different industries who are under the age of 30 years old here in the United States who are doing significant work. And right here is one of them, who's this year's 2017 30 under 30 awardees.
Yeah,
recipients. So Matt, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you very much.
And tell me a little bit about this process. I don't think a lot of folks out there might know. I mean, for those of you like me, maybe you've heard about the 30 under 30, but we don't really know what the process is. How did you get nominated?
Right. So, I guess I've done some work with Forbes in a previous job, and over my career I've done. And I was nominated and honored under the law and policy subcategory. So as you said, the 30 under 30 is more like I think the 600 under 30. So it is a bigger list than just 30 people. And in mine, it was in the law and policy area.
So that was the category, law and policy.
Exactly.
And that was for your work that you're currently doing?
Well, I think it's over your, obviously when you're under 30, your career is not that long, but over the scope of your career is what they consider. I was nominated by one of my former bosses and former professors, a great man named Professor Richard Vedder from Ohio University, where I attended undergraduate school, and then I actually worked for him for a think tank that he ran called the Center for College Affordability and Productivity. One of the big projects that we developed at CCAP, as we called it, was an annual ranking of U.S. colleges. And that was actually now published by Forbes magazine. So it had a number of years of experience interacting with them on that project, and then went on to a few other places, and now I'm here at Coolidge. But my former professor was kind enough to nominate me, and so then I got some sort of questionnaire in the email, and I thought, whatever, I guess I'll fill it out. I have no idea what the odds are or anything like that, and then just sort of out of the blue, right after the new year, I got an email saying that I was included on the list, which was a great honor. I sort of stay away from the camera usually, so it's slightly embarrassing, but it is a big honor, and it's a humbling thing to be a part of.
It sure is. And do you know, has this issue of Forbes been published yet?
It has, yeah. My wife went and made us, get it off the newsstand, and so we found it in Hanover at the bookstore. And
it's in the February issue?
Yeah, I think it's maybe the January 10th issue or something. Yeah.
Well, great. So tell me a little bit about this career trajectory that you're on. You graduated Ohio University, and how old are you?
I'm 29, so I just
29
and a half, so I just got in.
Well, yeah, good for you. Next year would have been too late.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what you've done since graduating from Ohio University.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been really interested in public policy and economics, and so that's kind of the route that my career has gone. As I said, I started at this think tank on higher education policy. The whole idea there was researching, why does college cost so much, and what can be done to try to reduce the increase in costs. Obviously, there are all sorts of scholarships and aid available, but our sort of theory was that, or our purpose was to try to figure out why are the costs themselves going up, and how can we reverse that trend so that we don't have to keep trying to catch up with aid and scholarships and that sort of thing. We did a number of fun projects, including the Forbes college rankings there. I wrote quite a bit about college athletics and the high cost, actually, at many schools that they impose, and how that then has to be funded either through taxpayers or student fees or some combination of the both, and how that contributes to the overall rise in college costs, and published a number of other studies and had a lot of fun. I then was kind of looking to broaden, though, because I was just higher education very specifically, and I was interested real broadly in economic policy. An opportunity came up actually to work for what was just beginning as the George W. Bush Presidential Institute, which is now part of his library. The library and institute themselves are based in Dallas, Texas, on the campus of Southern Methodist University, but I was actually working in New York City with our current chairman at the Coolidge Foundation, Amity Schlaze, and one of the projects she was working on, in addition to leading this project on economic growth at the Bush Institute, was finishing up a biography of President Coolidge. So you can quickly see, the transition there. But at the Bush Institute, what I focused on really was economic growth, but with a special focus on immigration. If you look at the economic research, what it shows is that immigrants contribute a ton to the American economy and are responsible for a lot of the growth of the economy. One just quick fact, if you look over the projections from now until 2050, for instance, immigrants and their immediate children are projected to contribute 90% of the growth in our labor force. So what's that say? It says, well, without immigrants, the American labor force is going to be pretty stagnant, and a stagnant labor force makes it hard to have a growing economy. So that's, it's just one example. So I wrote and spoke a whole lot about immigration, had really a lot of fun organizing events that President Bush would speak at. We had a conference with the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas on this issue of immigration and economic growth. We hosted naturalization ceremonies at the Bush Library. And then, I spoke at all sorts of events and did a lot of writing. So that was a lot, it was a lot of fun. I then had the opportunity to move up here to New England to lead the Coolidge Foundation, and became the executive director now 3 years ago. It's hard to believe. And we've developed all sorts of programs. Continued a lot of the great traditions and the great work that had been going on, but also developed our debate program. Which actually in the other program I think we even forgot to talk about. We bring in students from all around the country to debate issues in economics and in presidential decision making. We bring in experts who teach them about their topics, and then they debate it. And this is actually a national tournament, so we have preliminary tournaments around the country, and then the winners actually come here to Vermont for a week in the summer. We also have our Coolidge Scholarship, which is a full ride scholarship we developed. It's good for 4 years. And what's really neat is the students can take it and go to any university in the U.S. That's accredited they'd like to go to. So many full-ride scholarships can only be used at a single institution, whereas ours really empowers the student to decide what's the best learning environment for them, and to then take that scholarship and hopefully go on and thrive later in life. We awarded our first 3 this last year, which has really been, it's just really been a joy to develop that program and to see it take off. And in fact, just a quick plug, if there are any high school juniors out there watching, our application is open now. It closes February 22nd,
so get on it.
2017. So get working, because the prize is big if you win.
Great. And so, and Amity Schlaze is still involved with the foundation, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, she's our chairman and our CEO.
So is your work do you have a lot of synergy between the two of you?
As yeah, we talk almost every day. In any case, she lives down in New York, and and is a journalist and things as well, and an author. But yeah, she helps with developing all these programs, helping us to raise the funds, and we really just have a great team. I think this award that I was fortunate enough to get is really a reflection on the Coolidge Foundation and the work we've been able to do. And of course, as anyone knows, it's a real testament to our staff and to our board of trustees and all the volunteers.
Well, it's great for publicity and I noticed that over the last few years, you certainly have broadened your scope and your reach of the organization, and this will certainly help. Yeah,
at the Coolidge Foundation, we were actually founded in 1960, so we're kind of an old foundation. We were started by President Coolidge's son and John Coolidge, a number of other Coolidge enthusiasts. And throughout the years, the foundation's work has evolved, and for many years it was about preserving and helping to preserve Plymouth Notch, which now is a beautiful place that's operated primarily by the state of Vermont. The Coolidge Foundation does own the church, and that's where our office is. and we help, bring people to the historic site. But we thought, geez, if we could really now that that's well developed, if we could broaden our mission to be more nationally oriented and try to teach people all around the country about Coolidge and his lessons, and encourage them to come and see, Plymouth Notch, that would really just elevate, what we're able to accomplish. And so our board, has been really supportive, and our staff's worked awfully hard, to help get more excitement about Coolidge. And I think it couldn't be more timely, with the kind of political divisions in our country right now. Coolidge really is a unifying figure, someone who came from a very humble background, here in the hills of Vermont, through a lot of hard work and education and really just sticking to it, was able to rise through the ranks, become president, and was really a president for all Americans who was civil, was known to work across the aisle. He certainly had principles that he stood for, but he wasn't so dogmatic that he wouldn't listen to other viewpoints. So I think he's a model that our country could really look to today. And so we're trying to make sure that people can find him when they do go looking for that inspiration.
And just on that point, with your law and policy background, and certainly working in politics, how much of the mission and how much of your work is meant to sort of get involved with the political climate of today? I mean, how much do you sort of interject on on today's climate?
Yeah, not much. We're a nonprofit. We're a 501c3. By law, we can't be politicking. That's you lose your nonprofit status.
No, but talking about issues of the day and
yeah, sure. You always want to be relevant, right? I mean, otherwise, if you're only talking about history, which we talk a lot about, but we try to look at the lessons from Coolidge. How might they be applied today? What kind of inspiration could they give us today? One example might be a couple of years ago, we hosted a big conference down in Washington, D.C. On reforming the budget process, because I think all Americans are sort of frustrated today that it seems like we can never balance our federal budget no matter what we try to do. It seems like we're always talking about how much the government's growing and how much more the deficit's going to be. I mean, it's just like there's always an assumption there will be a budget deficit in any given year, and of course, then the national debt is the accumulation of those annual deficits, and now it's grown, to be many trillions of dollars. And it's something that concerns certainly me as a young person. I think probably should concern all Americans. Coolidge was the sort of the king of budgeting. He was able to actually cut the size of government. He balanced the budget every year he was in office. And after World War I, we had quite a bit of debt. He was able to eliminate about a third of that debt. So then we try to say, well, geez, what was different, and how might, what might we learn from Coolidge? And so in this conference, we looked at how the budget laws have changed over time and how those have affected our ability to come to a balanced budget. And there's a lot you can learn from Coolidge and from other parts of history that really illuminate a lot. But as you can see, it's not that we're going and saying this should be the budget law or something like that. We're saying, what are the lessons and some of the principles that might help us through some of the thornier issues today.
Interesting. And on a lighter note, how are you adjusting to life around here and in the Upper Valley? I read that you live in Lebanon.
Yeah.
So you're over the river.
Yeah, we're over the river. Yeah, but we love Vermont. My wife.
Is it true that the best pizza that you can find in the area is from Domino's?
Oh, geez, no, not the best.
They did print that in.
Well, they said, what's your favorite carry-out or something? Yeah. I guess it's the most convenient, the closest to me, and the cheapest. I'm sort of like a Coolidge,
Fiscal conservative.
Yeah, well, at least I try to be careful with my own finances. But my wife works at the Children's Hospital at Dartmouth, and we live in Lebanon, and we love it here. We call it home now. We're both from Ohio originally. And anytime we go back, we both find ourselves saying, "Oh yeah, back home," and what we mean is back home in New England rather than back home in Ohio. But we still, we love Ohio, and we've really found a lot of great friends, a lot of just wonderful people, and all kinds of exciting things to get involved in here. So, really happy here.
Great. Well, keep it up, Matt. And again, congratulations. And go, if you haven't, check out Forbes. It's online. The Forbes 30 Under 30, where Matt Denhart, the executive director of the Calvin Coolidge Presidential Foundation, has been named on that list for 2017. And
but more importantly, check out CoolidgeFoundation.org.
CoolidgeFoundation.org. If you had seen the other program that we produced earlier this morning, which will be going out there, and we'll be playing that and distributing that. And that's yeah. So go to their website, check out what's going on. They have a lot happening. And thanks again, Matt, and to the team there at the foundation for coming in this morning.